Hello and welcome to the In Focus series section of Drishti IAS. I am Aisha Singh and in today's video we will be discussing about the language of courts in India. What are the languages that is used basically and majorly in the Indian courts or judiciary, and why is the topic of that can the regional languages be used in Indian judiciary or not. So let us first look at the timeline. First we will be looking at the news, then about what is e-filing that has recently been started. Then the language of courts in India, Official Languages Act 1963, what are its provisions, then what are litigant rights, its background, then in the end a prelims MCQ. This topic is of relevance from General Studies paper 2, that is polity. From exam perspective, you should be able to know that what are the provisions of languages used in courts in India, Official Languages Act, and what are litigant rights from mains perspective. So let's get started. The news has been taken from The Hindu and it says regional languages should be used in courts in every state. This is what the Law Minister Kiran Rijiju has recently said, that the regional languages should be used in the Indian courts. So for example, if a high court is there in Mumbai, then the Marathi language should be used, and similarly in all other high courts also the regional languages should be used. So what has happened recently is that the Union Law Minister Kiran Rijiju on May 2nd has said that regional languages should be used in courts in every state. So every state should be using its regional languages in courts, which will make it easy for the regional people or the people of that state to be able to understand what is going on in court, will become easy for them. Then he was also talking at the event of distribution of e-filing and facility center units for 384 bar associations. So there was an event going on of 384 bar association. So there the law minister has also started the e-filing facility, and the Bombay High Court has decided to make e-filing compulsory for filing of all proceedings in court. So e-filing basically is a process in which the electronic or the e-filing which can be done in an electronic way and on digital platform, then all the proceedings of the court or all the complaints can be filed there. Then all e-filing units will be provided with a computer, scanner and a printer, because a computer is the most basic thing that the e-filing facilities require, and then scanner so that all the documents which comes can be scanned easily, and a printer so that all the printed documents can be given it to people who require it. So first and foremost, what is e-filing, which has recently been inaugurated? So e-filing is a complete end-to-end solution developed for online filing of complaints, written statements, replies and various applications related to cases. So all the cases which has been included and which has been going on or which wants to get filed in the court can be done through online filing of these cases, and it can be in the form of complaints, written statements, replies and various other applications. Both civil and criminal cases can be filed before any high court or district court of the country. This can be both civil and criminal, and this can be in any high court and district court of the country. Then designed in bilingual to reach wider group covering advocates, litigants. So the languages can be bilingual, that is English and the local language of that state. So English is basically a language in which all the proceedings of the court goes on, and this e-filing facility is for both civil and criminal cases for high courts and district court. This is not for the Supreme Court. Now the e-filing system provides several benefits. So what are these benefits which people would be getting from the e-filing? Then this will save time, money, travel of advocates and clients. Many a times it has been seen that the cases go on for a very long period of time. So the timing of the people and they do not have the desired pocket that they can afford the cases. Then obviate the need to physically visit the court, because at present we need to physically visit the court every single time the court hearing takes place. But the e-filing facility will resolve this problem. This will reduce the need of meetings between clients and advocates, because this can also be done through the e-filing facility. Automatic digitization of case records, because nowadays, and because till now everything has been done on paper basis, and many a times we have seen that the records have been misplaced and the records are missing. So this problem will also be solved, because everything would become digital and automatic. Then positive impact on environment by reducing paper footprint, because till now, as I've said, that everything has been in paper format, recorded and preserved. So it becomes very difficult to even look after those papers, because imagine, like for example, if you want to look into a case which is around 20 years old, so now you need to go back and see those files. Many a times what happens is the file gets missing, the file is not there at its own place. So a lot of manpower is also needed to look into these problems. Now let's talk about the problem or the topic of the language of courts in India. What is the language in Indian courts that has basically been used and has been used in Supreme Court, High Court and subordinate courts? So what are the constitutional provisions related to it? So if we talk about Article 348 Clause 1 Subclause A, it says that unless Parliament by law provides otherwise, all proceedings before the Supreme Court and in every High Court shall be conducted in English. So the Article 348 Clause 1 Subclause A says that English is the language of the court, and unless Parliament says it by law, then if the Parliament has not said it by law, then all the proceedings of the Supreme Court and the High Courts will be done in English. So from this article it can be said that the language of the Supreme Court and the High Court is English language. Then according to Article 348 Clause 2, it says that the governor of a state may, with the previous consent of the president, authorizes the use of Hindi or any other language used for any official purpose in proceedings in the High Court. So this is not saying Supreme Court, it is saying High Court. So in High Court, the governor, with the prior consent of the president, can authorize the use of Hindi or any other language. But the governor can only do if he or she, the governor, takes the prior permission of the prior consent of the president. And this can be done in the High Court. But in Supreme Court, the language which has been used is English. So Article 348 and Article 348 Clause 2 tells us about that what the Constitution says about the language which can be used in the judiciary or in the Supreme Court or High Court. Supreme Court, the language is English, while in High Court, if governor can get the consent of the president, the governor can talk about introducing the language Hindi or any other language in the High Court. Then the states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh have already authorized the use of Hindi in their High Courts or in their state, in the courts in which are present within their state. And now even the Tamil Nadu court or the Tamil Nadu High Court is trying to get the permission so that Tamil language can be used within their state. So these are the states where the use of Hindi has been authorized in the state court. And the Constitution recognizes English as the primary language of the Supreme Court and the High Courts. So every single thing which has been done or which goes on in the Supreme Court or in the High Court, it has to be in English. And the law minister in the recent event has also said that because everything is recorded in English, every judgment is given in English, every proceeding is happening in English, every order or decree is given out in English, the advocates or the lawyers which has good speaking English capacities and have good English oratory skills, they tend to charge very high fees from the clients just because they can speak in English. So this is also a problem which needs to be solved. That is why the law minister was talking about that can the regional languages take place in the High Courts. Then if some other language is used in the proceedings of high courts, judgments of the high courts must be delivered in English. Important word here is must. It means if something is going on in Supreme Court, then everything has to be done in English. But in the High Court also, if the local language is used or if the Hindi is used, but still, even after the use of Hindi or any other local languages, the judgments of the High Courts, or the orders given by the High Court or the decrees given by the High Court, it has to be delivered or translated in English. It means English is almost mandatory, because whatever happens in other languages has to be translated in English in the High Court, and Supreme Court, English is there in every aspect. Now let's talk about the Official Languages Act 1963. It says, and it empowers the governor of a state with previous consent of the president and authorizes the use of Hindi or the official language of the state in addition to English for the purpose of any judgment, decree or order passed by the High Court of that state. As I told you in last slide only, so the Official Languages Act of 1963 is also saying this, that in the High Court of any state, the governor with the prior consent of the president can authorize the use of Hindi or any other languages in the judgment, decree or order, but with the use of Hindi or any other languages, the translation of all the judgments will take place in English also. This has been given by the Official Languages Act 1963. It further provides that where any judgment, decree, order is passed in any such language, it shall be accompanied by a translation of the same in English. It means everything has to be done in English also. This has been given in Official Languages Act 1963. Now let's talk about that. Are there any rights which the litigant has? Like for example, imagine that if any person does not know the language English and all, okay, like for example, if a person is living in Uttar Pradesh and has filed a case in the High Court, so he or she is not aware about the English language and does not even know Hindi properly. So what that person would do? So what is there anything that the litigant can do? So the litigant has the right to speak in the language he or she understands before the magistrate. So the litigant, if the litigant is not very comfortable with the language English and also with the other language Hindi or any other language, the litigant has or the litigant can speak in any language he or she feels comfortable in, then the whatever the litigant says can be translated into other language and English by the translator present there. The right to justice is recognized under Article 14 and 21 of the Constitution. So the litigant has the right to justice. So the litigant can speak in the language in which he or she feels comfortable. Then little bit about the background of the languages that has been used in the courts. So post-independence, it means after the 1947, Article 343 of the Constitution of India provides that the official language of the Union shall be Hindi in the Devanagari script. So this was about the official language which was told by Article 343 of the Indian Constitution. But it also mandated that English language will continue to be used for all official purposes for the Union for 15 years. But the use of the English language has been going on till now, and especially in the courts, especially in the Supreme Court or in the High Court, the use of English language is mandatory, especially when the judgments, orders or decrees are given. And if we talk about the languages which has been used in the subordinate courts, then the state government can decide that what language can be used in the subordinate courts. Now in the end, it's time for the prelims MCQ. Any people need to tell me the answer in the comment section, and this says consider the following statements. First, Article 348 Clause 1 of the Constitution of India provides that all proceedings in the Supreme Court and in every High Court shall be in Hindi language until Parliament by law otherwise provides. Second is right to justice is recognized under Article 14 and 21 of the Constitution. You have to talk about which one is the correct statement, and the codes are 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. So try to give me the answer in the comment section. I think you'll be able to do this one, not very difficult. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet next time, keep reading and keep writing.